And joining me live now from Minneapolis with more on this, we've got Kenneth Moten with us. Thanks, Kenneth. You know, George Floyd's family, we saw their reaction to the verdict. How are they reacting now to this news about the Department of Justice investigation?
We're still waiting to hear from George Floyd's family. As you would imagine, Diane, in the past, less than 24 hours or so, there have been so many emotions going through this family. But we know how they've reacted to any type of calls for reform or investigations into the Minneapolis Police Department, and they're looking for major reforms. They're looking for major change. When it comes to how they feel about any type of next steps or the next chapter, they are welcoming it. They say bring it on, essentially, here, because they say there's still work to do. And so George Floyd's siblings, they have been at the forefront of this, and when it comes to the next steps, they're looking for some accountability, and they're looking for, again, not only change, but drastic change in the Minneapolis Police Department and police departments across this country, Diane.
And Kenneth, that's the family themselves. We know you've also spent a lot of time in Minneapolis, particularly around this case. So what about the city? What's it been like there since this verdict was announced? And how do you expect people there in Minneapolis will react now knowing their whole police department is going to be investigated?
I'm looking down the street below me here, Diane. There are still some businesses that are boarded up, but the city is starting to come back. It's starting to reopen this morning. What we really saw after that verdict was announced was, I've been calling it a bittersweet celebratory moment here. There have been people who've been streaming, a steady stream of people into George Floyd Square at 38th in Chicago, just about 5 miles from where I'm standing here in downtown. They've been wanting to go there to pay their respects. We know that's an autonomous zone, as they call it, where police have really not been welcome there. Media really not been welcome there as well. But we have seen people going there. There have been memorials there. That is where George Floyd took his last breath, right there at Cup Foods, in front of Cup Foods at 38th in Chicago. So we've seen a lot of people streaming into that area. We saw people outside the courthouse as well. But this city is starting to come back. There was an energy that we felt after the verdict was read. And here, when it comes to how they're responding to this news of a federal investigation to the Minneapolis Police Department, this is what they wanted. They wanted to shine this light on what they say systemic issues with the Minneapolis Police Department here. And we know that when it comes to the police chief, Arredondo, he says that there were a number of reforms that he enacted when he took control of this police department about 3 years ago, but there's still a lot of work to do when it comes to the policies and procedures, the choke holes, how a suspect is detained. We've seen some high-profile incidents in this city from Muhammad Noor and now Derek Chauvin and George Floyd. And so this city wants to see change. There was talk about disbanding the police department. That didn't happen, but their budget was cut by a small percentage. And the city council and the mayor here, again, promising reforms to the police department, but people, Diane, they want to see change.
And Kenneth, we know the verdict is in, but the whole trial isn't over just yet. Derek Chauvin is set to be sentenced in 8 weeks. What are we expecting to see there?
We're expecting for the prosecution to ask for more than what the judge is likely thinking under current state law. We know that the sentencing guidelines, Diane, that for the second-degree murder charge, unintentional, and also this third-degree murder charge, he could get 12.5 years or so. Potentially for that more serious charge of second degree, it could be 15 years. But we understand in 8 weeks, the prosecution, we've seen signs of the prosecution plans to ask for a lot more. For that second-degree manslaughter charge, about 4 years. Because when you look at Derek Chauvin's record, he didn't have a record, no criminal record before this incident. And so the family is asking for the maximum. And when we talk about the maximum, we look at the number of years. He's looking at decades here. Something like 40 years is the maximum. It's different degrees. So 40 years for second-degree unintentional murder, 25 years for third-degree murder, 10 years for second-degree manslaughter. Most likely he won't get that, but all eyes will be on what happens inside that court in 8 weeks. Some are calling it the next battle because the defense is obviously going to argue that because he didn't have a previous criminal record there, that he doesn't deserve the harshest sentencing guidelines here, but the state is going to plan. Keith Ellison, the Attorney General, has also indicated that the state will push for quite a few years for Derek Chauvin, and he's being held at a local facility. It's called the Oak Park Heights facility in Stillwater, Minnesota, very close to Minneapolis here. We saw that new mugshot overnight of Derek Chauvin. He was transferred. Many people saw that image of him being led away in handcuffs, an image that so many across the globe who wanted to see since George Floyd took his last breath.
All right. Kenneth Moten for us in Minneapolis. Thanks, Kenneth.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.